In a forest older than memory, where the wind hums lullabies through silver leaves, and the moss glows softly beneath starlight, there lives a story. A story told in paw prints and whispers, in shadows and in song. Long ago, when the moon was young and curious, she looked down upon the earth and chose a single creature to carry her secrets. Not a king, not a warrior, but a cat. A black cat, quiet as breath, with eyes like amber fire. From that cat, a dynasty bloomed the Moonclaw clan, a family of feline grace and quiet strength, gifted with wisdom and light. But with the gift came a vow, and with the vow, a cost. Each generation, one soul was offered to the moon, like a star returned to the sky. This is the story of Seraphine, the last leader marked by moonlight, and her sister Ilera, whose love glowed brighter than fate. It is a tale of sacrifice and song, of silver oaths and shadows that linger. But most of all, it is a story about what happens when the night whispers and someone dares to answer. So close your eyes, let the wind rustle like fur, let the stars blink awake above the trees, and listen as the forest begins to speak. Beneath a canopy of ancient oaks, where moonlight wove silver threads through gnarled branches, the Moonclaw clan prowled in silence. Their paws whispered secrets to the moss. Seraphine, their leader, glided through the forest. Her sleek black fur rippled like a passing shadow. Her amber eyes burned like embers in the gloom, its roots pulsing with the breath of the moon spirit, a silver wisp that promised wisdom and strength. In exchange, Lysara offered the soul of her firstborn, a tiny kitten whose eyes never opened. But hope was a flickering candle in the darkness. Now, gathered beneath the willow's ghostly glow, the clan awaited the ritual. Suddenly, a vole, its fur as dark as midnight, darted across the clearing. Old Tom, his yellow eyes gleaming with ancient wisdom and disapproval. You would profane the ritual with blood of the earth? Do you seek the moon spirit's wrath? If I bind my own essence to it, channeling the forest light, perhaps the moon spirit will find it worthy. Seraphine's gaze locked onto the creature. An idea sparked, reckless, desperate, but it might be their only chance. Another way? Tom rasped, his gaze flickering between the writhing animal and Seraphine's resolute face. With a graceful leap, she caught the vole, its tiny heart still beating. The moon spirit, ancient and ethereal, regarded her with eyes that held the wisdom of ages. Its voice resonated with the chime of 1,000 bells. So, daughter of the night, you dare defy me? You offer a meager morsel when my hunger knows no bounds. For a moment, the forest held its breath. Then, as if awakened, the forest stirred. Vines snaked upwards, leaves rustled, and the very stones hummed with renewed life. The burn of Seraphine's scar pulsed in time with the forest's awakening. And as the full weight of her sacrifice began to dawn on her, a rush of euphoria surged through her veins. The burn on Seraphine's scar faded, replaced by a constellation of stars, a reminder of her lineage, but no longer a mark of servitude. Her clan, their eyes shining with newfound hope, gathered around her. The forest, no longer burdened by the curse, sighed contentedly. The birds sang with joyous abandon, and the very trees swayed in delight. Fear coiled in Seraphine's belly, tightening with each heartbeat. And Seraphine, her heart lighter than it had been in moons, hunted with her clan, her steps sure and silent. Seraphine could swear she heard the faint echo of a silver bell, a reminder of the sacrifice that had set them free. No longer were they wraiths haunted by an ancient oath, but living cats, vibrant and free. I offer what I have, spirit of the moon. Yet if you seek a greater price, I give you my essence, my very life force, if it will end this curse that plagues my kin. Without it, The clan withers, the forest withers. Your sacrifice shall be weighed in the balance. She was the last of her line. Her sister, Elara, a silver-furred cat with eyes like dawn, stood beside her. This was not an ending, but a beginning. The forest, long muted by the curse, sang with untamed joy. So be it. Your selfless heart has moved me. Be it so. The glade's pool shimmered, no longer clouded, reflecting a sky ablaze with starlight. The moon spirit, its form solidifying, regarded her with newfound respect. You have given much, little Lionheart. In return, I shall grant you 3 wishes upon the turning of the moon. Ignoring Tom's horrified screech, she raced into the woods, the vole clutched tightly in her jaws. My wishes are of no import. Spirit of the moon, break the curse from my clan. Let the bloodline of Moonclaws run free from the burden of sacrifice. The forest pressed close, its ancient trees forming a cathedral of green, the leaves rustling prayers on the wind. A spiderweb brushed against her flank, cool and comforting. Here, in the heart of the woods, the forest's magic thrummed, mingling with the wild beat of her heart. Here, amidst the ferns unfurling their fronds to the dappled sunlight, she would make her stand. The burn of the scar on her sister's flank mirrored her own. In her paws, the limp form of the vole, its life essence spent. The clan, their forms stark against the gathering gloom, watched in tense silence. Fear warred with hope in their luminous eyes. Seraphine approached the glowing willow, its branches reaching like skeletal fingers toward the heavens. The burn of her scar flared, pulling her closer. The closer she came, the more the forest's magic surged within her, mingling with the raw power of the willow's embrace. Ilara's gentle nature made her the obvious choice for the sacrifice. Yet despite the chilling certainty that she herself would follow, Seraphine could not bear the thought of losing her only solace in this world. Its spirit rose as a star to join the night sky. The moon spirit's gift was cruel, power that bound the clan to an endless cycle of sacrifice. Each generation bore a claw mark, a crescent scar behind the ear, searing when the ritual hour drew near. The air was heavy with the scent of damp earth and forgotten oaths. Her mother, Queen Vera, was a spectral figure, her once proud white fur dulled by grief. Her voice a chant, it echoed through the clan's sacred glade. Vera believed the ritual's midnight hymns, the offering of black voles, the binding of airs in moonlit vines, would appease the moon spirit. Yet each sacrifice deepened the curse, as if the forest itself wept. The glade's pool, once clear as crystal, now shimmered with a sickly sheen, reflecting faces of kittens lost to the stars. And her heart, a fragile cage of duty and dread, thrummed with the weight of her lineage. The Moonclaw clan, once revered as guardians of the forest's heart, bore a curse as old as the stars. Long ago, their ancestor Lesara had knelt before a glowing willow. Seraphine, barely weaned when her scar first burned, had trembled in her mother's shadow. Her kitten heart sensed the doom that awaited. The elders spoke in hushed tones of a prophecy, a savior bathed in starlight who would end the clan's torment. A gust of wind rustled the leaves, carrying the mournful cry of an owl. It was an omen, a harbinger of death. "What have you done?" hissed a voice from the shadows. "There is another way," Seraphine murmured, holding the vole aloft. She continued, her voice ringing with newfound determination. "The ritual demands a soul. This creature's life ebbs fast." Tom recoiled as if struck. "You speak madness, child of the night. Your life force is tethered to our very survival." "Then let it be my burden," Seraphine said, her amber eyes blazing. As the last rays of sun bled from the sky, painting the clouds in hues of fading embers, Seraphine returned to the clearing. Suddenly, the air crackled. A wisp of silver mist coalesced above the pool, taking shape. Seraphine met its gaze, her voice ringing with newfound strength. The moon spirit's form flickered, its ethereal voice echoing with surprise. Such valor in a creature of the night. Very well, little Lionheart. With a gesture of its spectral paw, the moon spirit raised the vole, its form merging with the creature's essence. And then she understood. Relief and triumph washed over Seraphine, but her voice was hoarse with exertion. The moon spirit regarded her for a long moment, its gaze penetrating. With a final flourish of its paw, the moon spirit dispersed, its essence mingling with the revitalized forest. As the first rays of dawn touched the horizon, bathing the forest in hues of rose and gold, Seraphine emerged from the woods. In the days that followed, the Moonclaw clan thrived. The forest, rejuvenated, yielded its bounty. Yet sometimes, beneath the cloak of night, when the moon was full and the wind whispered through the ancient oaks, the forest's heart pulsed beneath Seraphine's paws, its rhythm a mournful echo of the Moonclaw clan's fading legacy. She stood by the glade's pool, its surface a mirror of fractured moonlight, reflecting her amber eyes, 2 lanterns flickering with doubt. The claw mark behind her ear throbbed, a cold fire that whispered of the ritual's approach, and her thoughts swirled like leaves in a storm. Beside her, Ilera, her silver-furred sister, curled into a tight ball, her breaths shallow. The air around them hummed with anticipation. Ilara's eyes, once bright as dawn, now dimmed with fear, her scar a cruel twin to Seraphine's own. The glade, once vibrant, now wore the cloak of twilight, and the joyful echoes had turned to whispers. "You have brought me what I desired," the spirit said, its voice like wind chimes tinkling in a graveyard. "And now I shall grant you my boon." The forest, their protector, had become a labyrinth of secrets, its whispers echoing tales of a looming darkness. Her sister's eyes, wide with terror, met Seraphine's for a fleeting moment. "Do you not wish for the clan's survival?" It vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving Seraphine to wonder if she had imagined it. "You are not the vessel, Seraphine." The pool, normally a mirror of the sky, was a churning mass of darkness, and the willow glowed with an eerie light. She skidded to a halt, her lungs burning, and looked back at the path she had just traversed. Ilira's eyes, wide with terror, were fixed on the spirit. She looked small and vulnerable, a lamb caught in the glare of an approaching wolf. Seraphine's amber eyes flashed with urgency. She needed to act fast. Behind her, the forest pressed close, its rustling leaves like hushed whispers. The sounds of the forest, once comforting, now seemed to mock her. She pushed herself up, her movements stiff and uncoordinated. "What's happening?" she whispered, her voice thin and reedy. The trees swayed ominously, their branches gnarled fingers clawing at the sky. She couldn't hold it off forever, but maybe she could buy enough time to help Ilera. Together, the sisters backed away from the spirit, their paws making soft thuds on the mossy ground. Fear gnawed at her, but she pushed it down. She had to stay focused. They couldn't outrun it, not in this place, but perhaps together they could outsmart it. But it was only a mouse darting across the clearing, seeking refuge from the chaos. She sighed inwardly, disappointment weighing her down. The sight of Ilira lying before the spirit, her body trembling, ignited a fierce determination within Seraphine. They faced the encroaching darkness together, their bond a flickering flame in the gathering gloom. But who would dare defy the moon spirit? Who could hear her desperate pleas amidst the forest's eerie silence? She would not stand by and watch her sister vanish into the abyss, her paws windmilling as she tried to disrupt the ritual. The moon spirit recoiled, hissing like a wounded snake. For a moment, the world held its breath. If only she could get the moon spirit's attention long enough for help to arrive. And then the forest erupted. Leaves swirled around Seraphine, forming a protective barrier between her and the enraged spirit. She knew it was a long shot, but she owed it to Ilera, to their bond, to their shared past. That honor belongs to Ilera. "Ilera, come on," she urged, her voice hoarse with exertion. "We have to get out of here. I thought," she began, her voice catching, "that I was chosen, that I should be the one." In them, Seraphine saw a universe of fear, a plea for rescue from the icy grip of fate. Her paws barely touching the ground, she weaved between the ancient oaks, their roots like grasping claws, and plunged into the shadows cast by the willow. As Carlin stepped forward, his gaze resolute, Seraphine felt a surge of protectiveness for her sister. The pool's surface churned, mirroring the turmoil in her chest. The ritual was almost upon them, and she realized the weight of her inaction. Had she been too afraid to step forward, to embrace her destiny? Was that why her dreams had been plagued with visions of her mother, Vera, her white fur stained with Vol's blood, her eyes hollow as she chanted to the moon spirit? Her own scar, usually a source of pride, felt like a brand, a mark of her impending doom. How could she let the moon spirit claim Ilara when she, Seraphine, was also marked, also carried the blood of the Moonclaws within her veins? It was Carlin, the clan's elder, his gray muzzle dusted with frost, his green eyes sharp as thorns. His presence, usually a source of comfort, tonight sent shivers down Seraphine's spine. "The time has come," he rasped, his voice a low growl. "The moon spirit hungers, and we must appease it." Seraphine rose, her muscles aching in protest, and followed him. The glade was deserted, the cats gone, and the full moon hung like a spectral eye in the velvet sky. The willow stood bathed in an ethereal glow, beckoning them forward. With a jolt, Seraphine awoke, her heart pounding against her ribs like a captive bird. The forest, once a haven, now pressed in on them, its ancient trees bearing down like gnarled fingers. She nudged Ilara, but her sister lay unmoving, her breathing shallow. Fear coiled in Seraphine's gut. Was the ritual draining Ilara's life force already? The ritual was fast approaching, and Ilara, the chosen, her soul marked for the stars. A sudden gust rustled the leaves overhead, and the scent of pine mingled with a hint of prey. It was a distraction. But whose? And what purpose did it serve? The two tales entwined, a silent vow to protect one another, but the moon spirit's shadow loomed over them, its silver wisp coiling in Seraphine's dreams like smoke. She remembered when Ilara was just a kitten, chasing fireflies under the oaks, her laughter a melody the forest no longer sang. Seraphine's heart clawed at the thought of losing her sister. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, slinking towards them like a phantom. As they approached, the air shimmered, and the moon spirit's wisp coalesced above the pool, its form a shimmering veil that danced in the moonlight. Behind her, Seraphine heard the ghost of a whimper from Ilara. "Wait," she called out, her voice echoing in the stillness. Carlin turned, his eyes questioning. "Why do you hesitate?" he asked. In the spirit's glow, Seraphine saw a flicker in his gaze, something akin to guilt, perhaps. Carlin shook his head slowly. As the spirit drifted closer to Ilara, Seraphine felt a surge of panic. But tonight, the forest whispered a different tale. Fear lent Seraphine speed as she raced after Carlin. There, the glade swam into view, its familiar landmarks twisted into grotesque shapes in the pale moonlight. As Seraphine burst into the clearing, her heart pounded against her ribs, fueling her desperate dash to Ilara's side. Turning back to the glade, she saw the moon spirit hovering above Ilara, its wisps reaching out like skeletal fingers. Taking a deep breath, she sprang into action, launching herself toward the moon spirit. A gasp echoed through the clearing as Seraphine's claws raked across the spirit's form. She scrambled back, adrenaline surging through her veins. As the spirit lunged, its wisps lashing out like whips, Seraphine dodged, her heart pounding in her chest. She turned to her sister, who was stirring, her eyes fluttering open. Slowly, as if awakening from a dream, Ilara began to move. "The ritual," Seraphine gasped, gesturing to the spirit with her nose. It's not right. Understanding dawned in Ilara's eyes, and she scrambled to her feet. The forest held its breath, watching, waiting. As the spirit surged forward, gathering strength, Seraphine and Ilara huddled close, their tails intertwined. Through the trees, Seraphine heard a twig snap. Her head snapped up, her amber eyes scanning the shadows. Could someone be coming? The forest, once their sanctuary, now seemed to be conspiring against them, whispering secrets only the ancient trees knew. As the spirit drew closer, its tendrils reaching out like icy fingers, Seraphine knew she couldn't fight it alone. She needed help. In the distance, a twig snapped again. This time it was closer, more distinct. Hope flared within Seraphine. Someone was coming. With a surge of adrenaline, Seraphine launched herself at the spirit, her claws extended. The forest exhaled a mournful sigh, its branches swaying like mourners in a moonlit requiem. A silver light sliced through the canopy, illuminating a clearing bathed in an eerie glow. The air hummed with a discordant tune, each note a dirge for their fading hope. The full moon, their clan's celestial guide, was obscured, leaving the world shrouded in an unnatural gloom. In the clearing, a pool shimmered, its surface a shattered mirror of the clouded moon, reflecting Ilara's trembling form, her beautiful green eyes wide with terror, pleading for salvation. Each ripple disturbed the spectral faces that swam within its depths, the eyes of lost clan members staring back, accusing, demanding, chanting. The willow drinks deep, the willow drinks deep, their voices moaned like ghosts. Suddenly, a new face swam up, Vera, the clan's medicine cat, her once luminous white fur stained crimson, as if she had bled the pool itself. Her haunting green gaze met Seraphine's, and mouthed words that chilled her to the bone. The blood moon rises, the willow demands. It was Lys, the youngest of their clan, her fur the color of burnished copper, her green eyes wide with terror and strange visions. Fear coiled in Seraphine's stomach, cold and constricting. Turning to flee, she found Ilara blocking her path. The moon spirit stirred, its presence coiling around them like a suffocating shroud. It was here. From the twisted branches of the nearby yew, the moon spirit coalesced, its form a chilling spectacle of silver mist, coiling like a serpent, its voice a whispering hiss that sent shivers down Seraphine's spine. Then she saw it, or rather felt it, a spark of life amidst the encroaching darkness, the faint heartbeat of her sister, still tethered to the mortal plane, still clinging to life. The moon spirit had given her a choice, and by Star Clan she would make it pay. Hope surged through Seraphim, fierce and incandescent. Your heart or hers, leader, it boomed, each word echoing with unnatural power. Choose, or the forest weeps blood. As she led Ilara to the forest's edge, where gnarled branches clawed at the moonlit sky, defy any curse to protect Ilara, even if it meant sacrificing her own heart. And dancing shadows concealed unseen dangers. She knew she was leading them both to the unknown. But in that moment, with her sister's life hanging in the balance, she would brave any peril. The forest, once their sanctuary, now loomed like a labyrinth of fear, but Seraphine pressed on, fueled by a love that refused to be extinguished. Her sister's form shimmered like a mirage, her eyes filled with an otherworldly light. "Don't leave me," Ilara whispered, reaching out a hand that passed straight through Seraphine's shoulder. "I'm scared." She stumbled forward, her gaze locked on some unseen horror, and whispered, "The willow drinks deep, Seraphine." How could she save her sister when the very ground beneath their paws demanded a life for a life? Her dreams had become a torment, showing her wraith's ghostly form, her white fur stained with sacrifice, chanting under a blood-red moon. Her words were a dagger, twisting in the wound of Seraphine's hope. Was this what awaited her? What the clan expected of her? Only a heart's gift in silence it. At its center, a gnarled willow shimmered, its leaves rustling secrets to the night. The willow swayed, its spectral glow intensifying. And in that moment, Seraphine understood. The spell woven around the glade tightened its icy grip on her heart. The willow's glow pulsed, its roots curling like grasping claws, mirroring the growing darkness within her. The forest stilled as if holding its breath. Could she really sacrifice her own heart, knowing that without her, Elara would be lost forever? Her gaze flicked to the elder Carlin, whose scarred muzzle was set in a grim line, ready to enforce the ritual. His claws were unsheathed, gleaming like shards of ice in the spectral light. When he nodded, she knew her fate was sealed. The mere sound of her breaking the pact was enough to tip the balance. Now the full weight of the curse, of all the lives sacrificed to appease the moon spirit, crashed down upon them. Panic clawed at her throat as she turned to Ella, whose form shimmered at the edge of her vision, fading like a candle flame in the wind. No, she thought, striking out blindly at the spectral faces in the pool, smashing the illusion that threatened to consume her. But the moment her paws connected with water, a searing pain shot through her shoulder, forcing her to cry out and thrash wildly. But Seraphine shook her head, her gaze fixed on the grotesque beauty of the glowing willow. With a Herculean effort, she tore herself free, only to find more vines snaking toward her, restraining her like icy fingers. Terror flooded her veins as she realized the extent of their peril. The air grew thick, stifling her cries for help. And then she saw Elara, her sister, slipping from her grasp, fading into a wisp of silver light. "Elara!" she screamed, scrambling toward her sister, only to slide on a film of moonlight and land hard on the forest floor. His scarred muzzle pulled into a snarl as he saw them approach. "The ritual is our bond, Seraphine," he growled, his voice a low rumble that echoed her own dread. "Deny it, and we are dust." But even as he spoke, a flicker of regret, perhaps, crossed his gaze. His eyes, usually as hard and cold as glacier ice, betrayed a momentary crack of uncertainty. He had been the first to offer souls to the willow's roots, and now his regret echoed in the rustle of the trees. "There is nothing left to fear," she murmured, though the lie tasted like ash on her tongue. Love for her sister warred with the oath that bound her clan, each beat of her heart a desperate prayer to break the curse that held Elara captive. But the closer she drew to the willow, the more its hypnotic glow wormed into her resolve, turning her clan's sacred duty into a nightmare. And toward this spectral tree, Seraphine, a sleek black cat with eyes like molten amber, prowled with resolute dread. The claw mark behind her ear throbbed, a searing pulse echoing the rhythm of the glade's ancient heart. Behind her, Elara trailed, her normally proud silver coat dulled, her steps faltering as if the very air grew heavy with despair. A shiver ran down Seraphine's spine. This place, once a sanctuary, now reeked of magic gone awry. "We should turn back," she whispered, her voice catching on the unspoken dread that choked them both. At the pool's edge, Carlin, the grizzled elder with fur the color of storm clouds and eyes like chips of ice, stood as guard. Seraphine dipped her head in acknowledgement, her claws flexing as she stepped closer to the pool. The vision vanished and Seraphine gasped, backing away from the pool's edge. But it was too late. As if awakening from a nightmare, she looked down to see thorny vines coiling around her paw, binding her to the pool's edge. As she struggled to rise, a twig snapped beneath her weight, drawing the attention of the ancient willow. Then from the twisted shadows beneath the willow, a figure emerged. The rest of the clan stirred from their vigil, their eyes glittering like malevolent stars, their whispers a macabre hymn to the moon spirit's insatiable hunger. Despair squeezed Seraphine's heart, threatening to crush her. Then the earth rumbled. The willow swayed, and the pool's surface cracked, revealing a glimpse of hellish depths. Terror rooted Seraphine to the spot. The moon spirit offered her a choice, but what choice could be worthy of such a dreadful demand? But as the minutes ticked by, her mind raced, desperately seeking a loophole in the curse, a way to defy the spirit's demands. With a defiant snarl, she backed away from the pool, turning to face the forest, where the shadows danced like phantoms in the silvery light. The full moon hung like a spectral eye in the inky sky, casting an eerie glow over the Silverstream clan's territory. At the edge of Moonstone Glade, the gnarled willow tree swayed eerily, its branches like skeletal fingers beckoning doom. Beneath its malevolent gaze stood Seraphine, her normally sleek black fur bristling with unease, her amber eyes locked on the shimmering pool. "Stay with me, Seraphine," Ilera whispered, her voice a thread of moonlight dissolving in the nocturnal breeze. "Don't leave me." Her plea echoed the forest's sorrow, a song of leaves and whispering pines, mourning the imminent loss of the sun's caress and the moon's gentle grace. Her claws dug into the yielding earth, and she let out a defiant snarl, a sound that spoke of a warrior refusing to yield. Yet doubt, like a persistent shadow, clung to her resolve, whispering insidious questions that chipped away at her certainty. Each night, Seraphine's dreams became a torment, a replay of Vera's sacrifice, her white fur matted with blood, her luminous eyes accusing, her ethereal form fading into the abyss while she chanted to the merciless moon spirit. Each morning, Seraphine awoke with her claws stained with soil, as if she'd clawed at her own fate in the dead of night. In its depths, she saw the trembling reflection of Ilera, her silver fur dull as ash, her spirit fading into the encroaching darkness. She stepped forward, her tail entwined with arras, their warmth a defiant gesture against the encroaching frost. Whatever fate awaited, she would face it with her sister by her side, ready to embrace the shadows, knowing that even in the darkest depths, their bond would shine like a beacon, guiding them home. Her gaze fixed on Seraphine, her voice a soft yet piercing lament, and the forest itself seemed to hold its breath. The wind hushed, the leaves still, the very air charged with anticipation. The ritual's hour approached, each tick-tock of the unseen clock a hammer blow on Seraphine's soul, yours or hers. The heart's gift is the only path, Seraphine. Her words hung in the air like a funeral knell, painting a grim tableau of a glade drained of light, of shadows swallowing the forest, and of Seraphine's blood mingling with the cold, dark earth. The claw mark behind Seraphine's ear burned with a frigid touch, a constant reminder of the moon spirit's chilling ultimatum. A heart freely given or witness the forest's demise. The clan's elders, Carlin and Liss, approached, their forms emerging from the shadows like phantoms. The willow's roots throbbed with the moon spirit's ravenous hunger, and the pool's surface rippled with the pleading gazes of lost kittens, their souls trapped in the spirit's spectral embrace. Carlin, the elder with scarred gray fur that glinted like frost under the moon's pallid light, His eyes burned with a hunger Seraphine now recognized, a hunger that mirrored the moon spirit's insatiable need. "The ritual must be honored," he declared, his voice a rasping echo in the stillness, "or we are nothing." His words, though cloaked in duty, rang hollow to Seraphine. She saw the lie etched in his scars, each mark a testament to the innocent kitten souls he'd claimed, offering them to the very spirit that now threatened their world. She pressed closer to Hilary, seeking solace in her sister's ethereal warmth, a fleeting spark in the gathering gloom. Fear gnawed at Seraphine's resolve, threatening to eclipse the love that burned for her sister. Her gaze returned to the pool, where the water mirrored a sky heavy with stars, their distant light a mockery of the fading moonshine. "I'll find a way," she whispered to Alara, her voice laced with desperation. But the moon spirit's wisp coiled nearby, its silver form a blade of moonlight, its voice a hiss that sliced through her determination. "Choose, Seraphine, or all will fall." Its choice was clear. Offer Alara's fading light to the spirit, or watch as the forest succumbed to eternal night. But even in the face of such despair, a spark of defiance flickered within Seraphine. Lys, a tabby seer, emerged from the shadows, her emerald eyes wide with haunting visions. Sleep offered no respite. The moon hung low, its silvery light a shroud of frost. As the days waned, Carol's presence grew like a suffocating fog, his shadow a constricting noose around the glade. Tonight was the final test. And then, as the last tendrils of moonlight surrendered to the encroaching darkness, Seraphine made her choice. The glade's air was thick with the scent of decay, as if the forest itself mourned the Moonclaw clan's fate. Seraphine stood beneath the glowing willow, its light a sickly halo that bathed her black fur in silver. Carlin's shadow slunk through the glade, his gray fur scarred like a battlefield, his green eyes glinting with ambition's cold light. "The moon spirit waits," he growled, his voice a blade cloaked in piety, but Seraphine saw the truth. Or would Alara's terrified gaze haunt her forever, a reminder of the sister left behind? Now, 2 moons had bled into 3. Each night the glade grew colder, the willow wearier. Yet Alara remained, her silver fur catching the moon's wan light, her eyes holding Seraphine's gaze, a silent vow passing between them. Carlin stood beside the shimmering pool, his silhouette sharp against the darkening sky. Fear coiled in Seraphine's gut, cold and constricting. With shaking paws, she stepped forward, shielding Alara with her own body. As the wisp neared, the forest held its breath, every rustle and chirp silenced by anticipation. The cats of the Moonclaw clan erupted into cheers, their voices echoing Seraphine's bravery. The wound in her chest, both physical and emotional, ached with a dull throb. The cost of their victory weighed heavily on her spirit. "Because of the bargain, because of my sacrifice, you are tethered to this forest, Kalara. Until your last breath, you shall remain here, unable to leave its bounds." Alara stared at her paws, her body trembling. Trapped forever in this cursed forest with nothing but its fading memories for company. The anger drained from Alara's eyes, leaving behind a bottomless well of despair. "Oh, Seraphine, how could you?" she whispered, her voice cracking. "You chose me, Seraphine. Don't you understand that? That is what matters." Seraphine whispered, her voice breaking. Alara, overwhelmed with grief, collapsed, burying her face in her paws. The Moonclaw clan thrived, their numbers growing, their fur gleaming with health. But Alara remained unchanged, her spirit as clouded as the days. Seraphine watched her sister wither, her own heart mirroring Elara's sorrow. Elara is fading, Seraphine. The forest withers, and with it, she weakens. The balance is shifting, tipping toward darkness. A vision of the moonblest and the forest she guards. She hesitated, then continued. The forest, once brimming with life, now seemed to mirror Elara's mood. Its leaves tinged with gray, its streams sluggish. Elara's fading had been gradual, like the slow drain of a leaky dam. But to hear it spoken aloud, to see it laid bare in Lyssa's fearful eyes, that was a new kind of torment. Each leaf that crunched under her paws, each bird that sang overhead seemed to echo with Elara's sorrow. This must be the place, the Wishspring, its waters holding the power to grant her heart's desire. When her clan members assembled, their faces etched with concern, Seraphine knew there was no turning back. "My clan," she began, her voice ringing with newfound resolve. "I have made a decision that affects us all. For the sake of our forest, for the moonblest, and for our very survival. I am Wren, but the price demanded by the ancient pact was equal sacrifice, a life for a life." What was Seraphine willing to give? Her gaze fell on the worn copy of the Moon Spirit scroll clutched in her paw, its pages filled with arcane symbols and potent incantations. It was the source of her clan's power, their connection to the spiritual realm, and it came at a great cost. The weight of her sacrifice pressed down on her, suffocating her with guilt. "Is there nothing we can do?" Seraphine asked, her voice cracking. The ancient text spoke of a hidden spring deep within the forest, its waters imbued with the power to grant wishes in exchange for an equal sacrifice. Could this be Seraphine's chance to undo the bargain, to restore Elara's soul without condemning the forest to eternal darkness? Her shoulders shook with silent sobs, her cries echoing the forest's sorrow. An offering to the Moon Spirit, a plea for Elara's soul to be returned, her spirit set free from the forest's curse. Hope, fragile as a newborn fawn, stirred within Seraphine. But the Moon Spirit had bargained for a leader's heart. What more could she give to undo the deal? "So this is my punishment," she murmured, her voice barely audible. If only she could trade places with Elara, to bear the burden of the Moonblest instead. But that was impossible. The price of their victory was steep, paid with her own heart and sealed with her sister's teardrops. "Lys, what troubles you?" Seraphine asked, her voice laced with concern. Her journey led her through sun-dappled glades, across babbling brooks, and into the hushed solitude of ancient groves. Every step was a prayer, every rustle of leaves a whispered plea to the forest to guide her. "Do not touch me," she cried, her voice raw with anguish. "You have betrayed me, sister. You promised to find another way. You are the moonless, Elara. The forest is your responsibility, its fate intertwined with yours." Tears welled up in Seraphine's eyes, blurring her vision. "I did try, Elara. I truly did." Turning, she saw Lys, the tabby seer, approaching cautiously. "But there was no other way. Not without sacrificing you." "The forest's curse has merely shifted," Seraphine replied, her heart aching at the sight of her sister's crushed spirit. "Now it is upon you. And if it withers, so will you." She had given so much, and now what? She looked to Elara, who stood apart from the revelers, her eyes downcast, her silver fur dull. The joy of the others seemed to mock Elara's sorrow. They crowded around her, their eyes shining with admiration and gratitude. Finding her sister curled up beneath the comforting shade of a large oak, Seraphine approached cautiously. Illyra flinched at the sound of approaching paws, her eyes wide with fear. "I did it to save you, Illyra." Seraphine sat down beside her, keeping a respectful distance. "Illyra," she began softly, her voice echoing in the stillness, "I need to tell you something." Illyra lifted her head slowly, her dawn-bright eyes clouded with confusion and sadness. "What is it, sister?" she whispered, her voice hoarse from unshed tears. "Tonight, the moon spirit is sated," he declared, his voice echoing with false piety. Even Carlin, his face ashen, joined the throng, his gaze fixed on Seraphine, his expression unreadable. Illyra whimpered, pressing against Seraphine, but the seer pushed gently, her eyes filled with tears. "Why did you condemn me to this?" she demanded, her voice echoing with pain and resentment. Seraphine winced at her sister's accusatory tone, but stood firm. "I could not bear the thought of losing you to the moon spirit's hunger. This way, at least you live." "You promised," Illyra whispered, her voice trembling, "to find another way." Seraphine looked into her sister's eyes, seeing the terror and trust mirrored there. "So the forest lives balanced as it should be." With a choked sob, she nodded, her heart breaking into 1,000 shards. He turned, his eyes gleaming with fervor. "I give my heart," she declared, her voice echoing through the still night. A searing pain tore through her, but she pushed it down, focusing on the sight before her. The moon spirit's wisp, now bathed in the warm glow of the reborn forest, swirled, forming into the shape of an ethereal feline. It let out a long, drawn-out hiss that echoed with power and gratitude. "So be it," boomed a voice that seemed to emanate from the forest itself. A leader's heart given freely. The wisp coalesced further, becoming a majestic silver cat with eyes that twinkled like distant stars. "For your sacrifice and unwavering love, you shall be rewarded," the moon spirit purred, its gaze lingering on Seraphine and Illyra. "May your bond continue to guide you, sisters, until the stars themselves fade." With a final sweep of its tail, the moon spirit vanished, leaving behind only the echo of its powerful presence. "Come, sister," he purred, his voice dripping with feigned concern. "In exchange for the forest's life and my sister's soul." The wisp paused, its head coiling in the air as if in surprise. A ripple of murmurs spread through the clan, their eyes wide with disbelief. Then, as if granting Seraphine's wish, the forest sighed, leaves rustling, birdsong filling the air, the stream babbling over mossy stones. The willow shimmered, its leaves regaining their emerald hues, casting dancing shadows on the ground. "Our forest will flourish once more, all thanks to your sacrifice, Seraphine." His words dripped with venom, each syllable a fresh wound on Seraphine's soul. He sought to offer Illyra's soul, believing it would crown him in the moon spirit's favor. The forest stirred, whispers turning to murmurs, then roars. The time of choice pressed close, its breath on their necks. Carlin stalked forward, his shadow a bearing fang. "It is our duty to end the moon spirit's hunger." His gaze flicked to Illyra, a predator eyeing its prey. Seraphine snarled, her hackles raised, every instinct screaming at her to strike. But Carlin was right. Illyra trembled, her gaze fixed on Seraphine, a silent plea in her eyes. Her claws flexed, itching to tear through his lies, but the clan's murmurs held her back, their eyes like stars judging her silence. The gnarled willow loomed, its silvered leaves whispering secrets to the night. The air thrummed with anticipation, the forest holding its breath. Ilera nudged Seraphine, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "Are you sure this is the only way?" she whispered, her voice catching on a sob. Seraphine gathered her courage, her gaze unwavering. "I promise you, little one, I will find another way," she vowed, though the words felt hollow, even to her ears. Her amber eyes blazed with a fire that flickered between hope and despair. Beneath a gnarled oak, its roots twisted like veins, they found a stone etched with moon tongue, its words a lament. Only a leader's heart, given freely, could break the curse. The moon spirit's wisp appeared, a silver serpent coiling through the dark. Its voice was a chill that froze Seraphine's blood. "Your heart or hers? Choose or the forest dies." She hissed, her fur rising, but the wisp's light burned her scar, a chain tightening around her soul. Lys, the tabby seer, followed, her small form trembling, her eyes wide with visions of a glade drowned in blood. "The willow's roots thirst," she whispered, her words painting a haunting image. Seraphine's lifeblood seeping into the earth, Ilera spared, the forest reborn. The claw mark behind her ear pulsed like a frozen star, each throb a summons to the ritual that loomed like a specter. Ilera huddled close, her silver fur matted, her dawn-bright eyes now clouded with fear, her warmth a fading ember against Seraphine's side. Their tails entwined, a fragile knot of love in a world unraveling. Seraphine's heart was a tempest. Her vow to protect Ilera clashed with the moon spirit's cruel demand, a heart sacrificed to save the forest. Desperate for answers, Seraphine led Ilera into the forest depths, where shadows clung like cobwebs and the air hummed with forgotten songs. But the price demanded a leader's heart. Could Seraphine relinquish her own, trusting the forest's rebirth to whispers on the wind? "Do you not see, Seraphine, that I am trapped?" Then Callan moved, his eyes gleaming with the thrill of the hunt. As the first stars pricked the twilight sky, Seraphine led Ilera to the clearing. Before the first rays of moon touched the dew-kissed grass, they were there, the entire clan assembled, their faces pale in the gathering gloom. The moon spirit's wisp uncoiled from the willow, its silvery form gliding toward Ilera, its eyes burning with an otherworldly light. Turning back to the wisp, she straightened, drawing strength from the love for her sister, her clan, her forest. In the center of the clearing, Seraphine stumbled, clutching her chest. As quickly as the forest had fallen into chaos, it now stirred back into life, vibrant and full of renewed vigor. Amidst the celebration, Seraphine felt a pang of loneliness. When the festivities finally quieted, Seraphine sought out Ilera in the hushed solitude of the forest. Taking a deep breath, Seraphine prepared herself. Ilera looked up, her eyes blazing with sudden anger. "Why did you do it, Seraphine? At what cost?" Ilera spat, her gaze hardening. Seraphine, her heart heavy with remorse, reached out to touch her sister's shoulder, but Ilera flinched away, her whole body trembling. "But you chose not to," Ilera accused, her gaze boring into Seraphine's soul. Seeing her sister's anguish, Seraphine felt a fresh wave of pain slam into her, twisting in her gut like a feral cat. Days turned into weeks, each sunrise painting the sky with hues of loss. One day, while tending to the medicinal herbs at the edge of the forest, Seraphine heard a twig snap. "I have a vision," Lys replied, her voice barely a whisper. Fear, cold and constricting, coiled in Seraphine's stomach. "There may be," Lys said, her eyes distant as if peering into the swirling mists of her visions. Days blurred into nights as Seraphine searched for a solution, poring over ancient scrolls, consulting with wise elders, and seeking solace in the wisdom of the forest itself. Finally, as the silver light of the full moon bathed the forest in ethereal glow, Seraphine felt she had uncovered a glimmer of hope. With renewed determination, Seraphine set out to find the fabled spring, guided by fragmented verses and cryptic clues. And then, nestled between gnarled trees, she saw it, a pool of water shimmering like a sheet of polished silver, surrounded by moss-covered stones and vibrant blooms. With a heavy heart, Seraphine made her decision. Returning to the clan, she called for a gathering, her voice echoing across the glade. The forest's breath was a mournful hymn, its shadows curling like smoke around the glowing willow. Where Seraphine stood, her black fur a shroud under the moon's cold gaze. Her amber eyes burned with a fire that flickered between defiance and despair, the claw mark behind her ear searing like a frozen blade. Ilera pressed against her, her silver fur faint as mist, her dawn-bright eyes now a flicker of fading hope. Their tails entwined, a fragile vow against the curse's weight. But the moon spirit's hunger loomed, its silver wisp a specter in the glade's heart. Seraphine's soul was a storm her love for Ilera, warred with the oath that bound her clan, each heartbeat a plea to shatter the chains. Carlin, the elder, prowled closer, his scarred gray fur glinting like frost, his green eyes sharp with betrayal's gleam. "The ritual is our salvation," he hissed, but Seraphine saw the lie. His scars were a map of sacrifices, each one a step toward his own crown. Her claws flexed, itching to rend his ambition, but the clan's eyes watched, their murmurs a dirge for the chosen. Ilera lifted her head, her voice a soft chime. "I'll face it with you, sister." Her courage was a spark, igniting a fleeting hope in Seraphine's heart. But the pool's surface rippled, reflecting a sky heavy with grief. Seraphine led Ilera to the forest's core, where the oaks whispered secrets and the air was thick with the moon spirit's chill. Beneath a stone carved with moon tongue, its words a cry of ancient sorrow, Seraphine found a shard of bone, etched with Lysara's vow. A leader's heart could free them all. The moon spirit's wisp coiled around. Her, its silver form a blade of light, its voice a frost that burned. Offer the heart, or the forest falls. Seraphine's hiss was a fire, her fur rising, but the wisp's light seared her scar, a chain tightening her soul. Lys's, the tabby seer, crept from the shadows, her eyes wide with visions of a glade drowned in shadow. The willow's roots. "We'll drink," she whispered, her words painting a haunting image. Seraphine's blood seeping into the earth. Ilera's light spared, the forest reborn. Seraphine's dreams were a torment Vera's ghost, her white fur stained with blood, her eyes accusing as she chanted under a bleeding moon. Each night, she woke with her claws buried in moss, as if clawing at her fate. Carlin's shadow grew darker, his claws unsheathed, ready to force the ritual. The willow's glow pulsed, its roots writhing like hungry serpents, and the pool reflected faces of lost kittens, their eyes pleading. Seraphine stood with Ilera, their warmth, defiant spark, but the moon hung low, its light a shroud of ice. The ritual's hour was a breath away, and Seraphine's soul clawed at its chains. Could Ilera's courage light a path to freedom, or would Carlin's betrayal and the moon spirit's hunger paint the glade with her sister's fading light, leaving only shadows to mourn their broken vow. Asterisk, the glade trembled under the moon's cold gaze, its light a shroud of frost that draped the glowing willow in ghostly silver. Seraphine stood at its roots, her black fur a ripple of shadow, her amber eyes blazing with a fire, torn between defiance and dread. The claw mark behind her ear burned like a frozen star, each pulse a summons to the ritual that loomed like death's own breath. Ilera clung to her side, her silver fur faint as mist, her dawn-bright eyes now a flicker of desperate hope. There, tails entwined, a fragile knot against the curse's weight, and Ilera's voice, soft as a breeze, cut through the gloom. We'll face it together, Seraphine. Her courage was a flame, warming Seraphine's heart, but the pool's surface rippled, reflecting a sky heavy with grief, its stars like tears frozen in time. Carlin, the elder, slunk through the glade, his scarred gray fur glinting like a blade, his green eyes sharp with a hunger for power. The moon spirit's will is absolute, he growled, but Seraphine saw the truth his scars were a testament to betrayal. Each marked the kitten's soul, offered for his ambition. Her claws flexed, itching to tear through his lies, but the clan's eyes watched, their murmurs a hymn to the moon spirit's hunger. Seraphine's mind was a storm love for Ilera, clashed with the oath that chained her soul. She led Ilera to the willow's heart, where the air was thick with the scent of decay and the roots pulsed like veins. There, the moon spirit's wisp coiled, a silver serpent with eyes like voids, its voice a chill that froze her blood. Your heart or hers? Choose or the forest weeps. Seraphine's hiss was a fire, her fur rising, but the wisp's light seared her scar, a noose tightening her will. Lisa's, the tabby seer, crept closer, her eyes wide with visions of a glade drowned in shadow. The willow's roots thirst for a heart, she whispered, her words painting a haunting image. Seraphine's blood seeping into the earth. Ilera's light spared, the forest reborn. Seraphine's dreams were a torment Vera's ghost, her white fur stained with sacrifice, chanting under a bleeding moon, her eyes accusing. Each night she woke with her claws buried in moss, as if clawing at her fate. Carlin's shadow loomed, his claws unsheathed, ready to force Ilera's sacrifice. The clan gathered, their eyes glinting like stars, their murmurs a dirge for the chosen. Seraphine stood with Ilera, their warmth a defiant spark, but the willow's glow pulsed, its roots writhing like hungry serpents. The pool reflected faces of lost kittens, their eyes pleading, and the moon hung low, its light a shroud of ice. The ritual's hour was a heartbeat away, and Seraphine's soul clawed at its chains. Could Ilera's courage and her own defiance shatter the moon spirits? Hold, or would Carlin's betrayal paint the glade with her sister's fading light, leaving only shadows to mourn their broken vow? Asterisk, the glade pulsed with the willow's sickly glow, its branches curling like claws under a moon that hung like a frozen tear. Seraphine stood at its heart, her black fur a shadow rippling in the silver light, her amber eyes blazing with the fire of defiance and dread. The claw mark behind her ears seared, a cold flame that sang of the ritual's approach, each throb a chain binding her to the moon spirit's will. Ilera pressed close, her silver fur faint as frost, her dawn-bright eyes flickering with courage. Born of fear, their tails entwined, a fragile knot against the curse's weight, and Ilera's voice, soft as a sigh, pierced the gloom. "I won't let you fall alone, Seraphine." Her words were a spark, kindling hope in Seraphine's heart. But the pool's surface rippled, reflecting a sky heavy with stars that wept for the lost. Carlin, the elder, slunk forward, his scarred gray fur glinting like a blade, his green eyes sharp with betrayal's hunger. "The moon spirit demands its due," he growled, his claws unsheathing, ready to force Ilara's sacrifice. Seraphine saw the truth. His scars were a map of treachery, each mark a kitten's soul offered for his ambition. Her claws flexed, a hiss rising in her throat, but the clan's eyes watched, their murmurs a hymn to the moon spirit's hunger. Seraphine's soul was a tempest love for Ilara, clashed with the oath that bound her clan, each heartbeat a plea to break the curse. She led Ilara to the willow's roots, where the air was thick with the scent of decay and the earth pulsed like a dying heart. The moon spirit's wisp coiled, a silver serpent with eyes like voids, its voice a frost that burned. "Your heart or hers? Choose, or the forest weeps blood." Seraphine's fur rose, her hiss a fire, but the wisp's light seared her scar, a noose tightening her will. Lisses, the tabby seer, crept from the shadows, her eyes wide with visions of a glade drowned. "Shadow, the willow's roots thirst," she whispered, her words painting a haunting image. Seraphine's blood seeping into the earth. Ilara's light spared, the forest reborn. Seraphine's dreams were a torment Vera's ghost, her white fur stained with sacrifice, chanting under a bleeding moon, her eyes accusing. Each night, she woke with her claws buried in moss, as if clawing at her fate. Carlin lunged, his claws slashing toward Ilara, his ambition bared like fangs. Seraphine leaped, her body a shield, her hiss a roar that shook the glade. The clan gasped, their eyes glinting like stars, their murmurs a dirge for the chosen. The willow's glow pulsed, its roots writhing like hungry serpents, and the pool reflected faces of lost kittens, their eyes pleading. Seraphine stood with Ilara, their warmth a defiant spark, but the moon hung low, its light a shroud of ice. The ritual's hour was a breath away, and Seraphine's soul clawed at its chains. Could she shield Ilara from Carlin's betrayal, or would the moon spirits hunger paint the glade with her sister's fading light, leaving only shadows to mourn their broken vow? The glade quaked under the moon's icy gaze, its light a shroud of frost that painted the glowing willow in ghostly silver. Seraphine stood at its roots, her black fur a ripple of shadow, her amber eyes blazing with the fire of defiance and dread. The claw mark behind her ear seared like a frozen blade, each pulse a summons to the ritual now upon them. Ilara clung to her side, her silver fur faint as mist, her dawn-bright eyes flickering with courage that defied her fear. Their tails, entwined, a fragile knot against the curse's weight, and Ilara's voice, soft as a breeze, pierced the gloom. "I'll stand with you, Seraphine." Her words were a flame, kindling resolve in Seraphine's heart, but the pool's surface rippled, reflecting a sky heavy with stars that wept for the lost. Carlin, the elder, lunged again, his scarred gray fur glinting like a blade, his green eyes sharp with betrayal's hunger. "The moon spirit demands its due," he roared, his claws slashing toward Ilara. Seraphine leaped, her body a shield, her hiss a thunder that shook the glade. Her claws met his, a clash of fire and ice, and the clan gasped, their eyes glinting like stars, their murmurs a dirge for the chosen. Seraphine's soul was a tempest love for Alara, clashed with the oath that bound her clan. The moon spirit's wisp coiled above, a silver serpent with eyes like voids, its voice a frost that burned, your heart or hers. Choose, or the forest weeps blood. Seraphine's fur rose, her hiss a fire, but the wisp's light seared her scar, a noose tightening her will. Lisa's, the tabby seer, crept forward, her eyes wide with visions of a glade drowned in shadow. The willow's roots thirst, she whispered, her words painting a haunting image. Seraphine's blood seeping into the earth. Alara's light spared, the forest reborn. Seraphine's dreams were a torment Vera's ghost, her white fur, stained with sacrifice, chanting under a bleeding moon, her eyes accusing. Each night, she woke with her claws buried in moss, as if clawing at her fate. Carlin staggered back, his flank bleeding, but his ambition burned brighter, his claws ready to force Alara's sacrifice. The willow's glow pulsed, its roots writhing, like hungry serpents, and the pool reflected faces of lost kittens, their eyes pleading. Seraphine stood over Alara, their warmth a defiant spark, but the moon spirit's wisp surged, its silver form swelling like a storm. The glade trembled, the air thick with the scent of decay, and the moon hung low, its light a shroud of ice. The ritual's hour was here, and Seraphine's soul clawed at its chains. She saw the path, her heart offered to the willow. Alara spared, the curse broken. But Carlin's shadow loomed, his claws poised to strike again. Alara's eyes met hers, a silent vow, and the forest seemed to hold its breath. Asterisk, the glade shuddered under the moon's icy veil, its light a frozen shroud that bathed the glowing willow in ghostly silver. Seraphine stood at its heart, her black fur a shadow rippling in the glow, her amber eyes blazing with a fire of defiance and sacrifice. The claw mark behind her ear seared like a frozen star, each pulse a summons to the ritual now upon them. Alara clung to her side, her silver fur faint as mist, her dawn-bright eyes shimmering with courage that defied her fear. Their tails entwined, a fragile knot against the curse's weight, and Alara's voice, soft as a sigh, pierced the gloom. "I'll stand with you, Seraphine, always." Her words were a flame, kindling resolve in Seraphine's heart. But the pool's surface rippled, reflecting a sky heavy with stars that wept for the lost. Carlin, the elder, roared, his scarred gray fur glinting like a blade, his green eyes sharp with betrayal's hunger. "The moon spirit will have its due," he snarled, his claws slashing toward Alara. Seraphine leaped, her body a shield, her hiss a thunder that shook the glade. Her claws raked Carlin's flank, drawing blood. That stained the moss, but his ambition burned brighter, his eyes fixed on Alara's light. The clan gasped, their eyes glinting like stars, their murmurs a dirge for the chosen. Seraphine's soul was a tempest love for Alara, clashed with the oath that bound her clan. The moon spirit's wisp surged, a silver serpent swelling like a storm, its voice a frost that burned. Your heart or hers? Choose, or the forest weeps blood. Seraphine's fur rose, her hiss a fire, but the wisp's light seared her scar, a noose tightening her will. Lisa's, the tabby seer, crept forward, her eyes wide with visions of a glade drowned in shadow. "The willow's roots thirst," she whispered, her words painting a haunting image. Seraphine's blood seeping into the earth, Elira's light spared, the forest reborn. Seraphine's dreams were a torment Vera's ghost, her white fur stained with sacrifice, chanting under a bleeding moon, her eyes accusing. Each night, she woke with her claws buried in moss, as if clawing at her fate. Carlin lunged again. His claws aimed at Elira's heart, but Seraphine's resolve hardened. She turned to the willow, her paws steady, her heart offered to its roots. The moon spirit's wisp roared, a sound that shook the glade, and the willow's glow pulsed, its roots writhing like hungry serpents. The pool reflected faces of lost kittens, their eyes pleading, and the moon hung low, its light a shroud of ice. Seraphine stood over Elira, their warmth a defiant spark, and whispered, "Live, sister." Her claws grazed her own chest, ready to spill her blood for the curse's end. The glade trembled, the air thick with decay, and the forest seemed to hold its breath. Asterisk, the willow's glow pulsed like a dying heart, its branches curling like claws under a moon that wept silver tears. Seraphine stood at its roots, her black fur a shadow rippling in the sickly light, her amber eyes blazing with a fire of sacrifice. The claw mark behind her ear seared, a frozen star that bound her to the ritual's hour. Elira clung to her, her silver fur faint as mist, her dawn-bright eyes wide with desperate courage. Their tails entwined, a fragile knot against the curse's weight, but Elira's voice, a trembling chime, shattered the glade's silence. "You can't leave me, Seraphine." Her words were a flame, burning through Seraphine's resolve. Yet the pool's surface rippled, reflecting a sky heavy with stars that mourned the lost. Carlin, bloodied but unyielding, prowled the glade's edge, his scarred gray fur glinting like frost, his green eyes sharp with ambition's hunger. "The moon spirit will claim its due," he snarled, his claws poised, but Seraphine's hiss was thunder, her body a shield between him and Elira. The clan's eyes glinted like stars, their murmurs a dirge for the chosen. But Les's, the tabby seer, crept forward, her eyes wide with a vision that chilled the air. The moon spirit is no spirit, it's the forest's hunger, born of Lasara's. Greed. Her words painted a haunting image, a silver wisp, not divine but ravenous, feeding on the clan's souls. Seraphine's heart was a tempest love for Elira, clashed with the truth of Lys's vision. The moon spirit's wisp swelled, a silver serpent with eyes like voids, its voice a frost that burned. "Your heart, leader." Seraphine's claws grazed her chest, ready to spill her blood, but Elira leaped, her small form shoving Seraphine aside, her own claws raised to the wisp. "Take me instead," she cried, her silver fur glow, a star defying the dark. The willow's roots writhed, hungry serpents drinking the air's decay, and the pool reflected faces of lost kittens, their eyes pleading, Seraphine's dreams. Flashed Vera's ghost, her white fur stained with sacrifice, chanting under a bleeding moon. Carlin lunged, his claws aimed at Elira, but Seraphine roared, her body a storm, pinning him to the moss. The glade quaked, the moon spirit's wisp surging, its silver formed a tidal wave of hunger. Seraphine's scar burned, her heart pounding with the weight of her choice. She would offer her life, not Elira's. The clan watched, their eyes a constellation of grief, as the willow's glow pulsed, its roots curling toward her. Elira's warmth pressed against her, a defiant spark, but the moon hung low, its light a shroud of ice. The ritual's hour consumed the glade, and Seraphine's soul clawed at its chains, her claws poised to rend her own heart. The forest held its breath, the air thick with decay, and the pool's surface stilled, reflecting a single star Seraphine's light, ready to fade for her sister's dawn. The glade quaked under a moon that bled silver tears, its light a frozen shroud, draping the glowing willow in ghostly veils. Elara stood trembling, her silver fur aglow like a fading star, her dawn-bright eyes fixed on Seraphine, whose black fur rippled as she faced the willow's writhing roots. The claw mark behind Elara's ear burned, a cold flame echoing her. Sisters, but her heart pounded with a fierce resolve to save her. Seraphine's claws hovered over her chest, ready to spill her blood, her amber eyes blazing with sacrifice. The moon spirit's wisp swelled, a silver serpent with eyes like voids, its voice a frost that seared. The heart is mine. Elara's soul was a storm love for Seraphine, clashed with the curse's weight, her courage a spark in the dark. Carlin, bloodied and snarling, lunged from the shadows, his scarred gray fur glinting like frost, his green eyes sharp with ambitions. Hunger. Elara's soul belongs to the moon spirit. He roared, but Elara leaped, her small form a silver streak, her claws slashing his flank. The clan gasped, their eyes glinting like stars, their murmurs a dirge for the chosen. Lysis, the tabby seer, crept closer, her eyes wide with a vision. The moon spirit is the forest's breed, not its guardian. Her words painted a haunting image, Seraphine's blood seeping into the earth, the willow's roots withering, the forest reborn. Elara's heart broke. Seraphine's sacrifice was a blade, cutting her soul. She threw herself at the wisp, her hiss afire. Take me, not her. The willow's glow pulsed, its roots curling like hoary serpents, and the pool reflected. Faces of lost kittens, their eyes pleading. Seraphine roared, shoving Elara aside, her claws rending her own chest, blood pooling at the willow's roots. The moon spirit shrieked, a sound that shook the glade, its silver form fracturing like glass. The forest groaned, the air thick with decay, and the willow's light dimmed, its roots stilling. Carlin staggered, his ambition broken, his eyes dull as he fled into the dark. The clan watched, their eyes a constellation of grief, as Seraphine's. Body slumped, her black fur stained crimson, her amber eyes fading. Elara pressed against her, her warmth a defiant spark, her wail a melody of loss. The pool's surface cleared, reflecting a sky where a new star burned Seraphine's light, joined with the lost. The forest exhaled, its branches softening, the air sweet with new life. Elara's fur glowed faintly, her scar silent, but her heart was a wound that would never heal. The moon spirit's wisp dissolved, its hunger sated, leaving only silence. The glade stood still, the moon's light now warm, bathing the willow in a gentle glow. Elara curled beside Seraphine's form, her silver fur a shroud, her dawn-bright eyes fixed on the star above, a beacon of her sister's sacrifice, eternal in the forest's reborn heart. The glade lay still under a moon, now soft as silk, light a gentle veil that bathed the willow in a glow, no longer sickly but warm, like a mother's embrace. Elara curled beside Seraphine's lifeless form, her silver fur a shroud against the moss, her dawn-bright eyes dim with grief, fixed on the new star that burned above a beacon of her sister's sacrifice. The claw mark behind her ear was silent, its cold fire extinguished, but her heart was a wound, bleeding with each breath. The pool's surface gleamed, no longer rippling with faces of lost kittens, but reflecting a sky where stars sang of hope reborn. The forest exhaled, its branches softening, their shadows no longer claws, but fingers cradling the glade. The air, once thick with decay, now carried the scent of new buds, a whisper of life returning to the oaks. Elera's soul was a tempest grief, for Seraphine clashed with the fragile warmth of the forest's revival. The clan gathered, their eyes glinting like stars, their murmurs no longer a dirge, but a hymn of quiet awe. Lisa's, the tabby seer, padded forward, her small form trembling, her eyes wide with a vision that lingered. The moon spirit is gone, but its shadow sleeps in the earth. Her words painted a haunting image, roots stirring beneath the glade, a hunger not fully sated. Elera's fur rose, her claws flexing, but her heart was too heavy to heed the warning. She pressed closer to Seraphine, her warmth a fading echo, her sister's black fur stained crimson, a baroque portrait of loss. The willow's roots lay still, no longer writhing like hungry serpents, but their silence felt like a held breath. Elara's dreams were now a torment Seraphine's amber eyes, fading under a bleeding moon, her voice whispering, "Live, sister." Each night, she woke with her claws buried in moss, as if clawing at her grief. Carlin was gone, his scarred form vanished into the forest, his ambition broken, but his absence left a chill, as if his betrayal lingered in the shadows. The clan looked to Elera, their eyes seeking a leader, but she felt only the weight of Seraphine's star above. The forest stirred, its oaks whispering secrets of renewal, their leaves catching the moon's light like silver tears. The pool reflected a sky where Seraphine's star shone brightest, a beacon of sacrifice that warmed Elera's fur. She rose, her silver coat aglow, and padded to the willow's edge, where the earth was soft with new life. The glade was a canvas of rebirth, its colors no longer gloomy, but painted with hope's fragile hues. Elara's heart, though broken, pulsed with her sister's vow, a spark to carry forward. The moon hung high, its light a gentle caress, and the forest song returned, a lullaby woven with Seraphine's name. Elera stood alone, her silver fur a beacon in the glade, her eyes fixed on the star above, its light a promise that her sister's sacrifice would guard the forest forever. Asterisk. The forest hummed a gentle lullaby, its oaks weaving moonlight into a tapestry of silver and shadow, their branches no longer claws, but arms cradling the reborn glade. Elera stood alone, her silver fur aglow like a star fallen to earth, her dawn-bright eyes heavy with grief, yet flickering with resolve. A claw mark behind her ear was silent, its fire quenched by Seraphine's sacrifice, but her heart bore a deeper scar, etched with her sister's fading warmth. The willow's glow had softened, its roots still, no longer writhing like hungry serpents, but the pool beside it shimmered, reflecting a sky where Seraphine's star burned brightest, a beacon of love eternal. The clan gathered, their eyes glinting like stars, their murmurs a hymn of hope tempered by loss. Elera felt their gaze, a weight heavier than the curse, urging her to lead where Seraphine had fallen. Her soul was a tempest grief clashed with duty, each heartbeat a vow to honor her sister's light. Lisa's, the tabby seer, padded close, her small form trembling, her eyes wide with visions that chilled the air. The forest lives, but its heart stirs, hungry still. Her words painted a haunting image, shadows creeping beneath the earth, a remnant of the moon spirit's greed. Illyra's fur rose, her claws flexing, but her grief was a tide, pulling her toward Seraphine's memory. The glade was a canvas of rebirth, its moss soft with new life, its air sweet with the scent of budding ferns. Yet Illyra's dreams were a torment Seraphine's amber eyes, fading under a bleeding moon, her voice whispering, "Live, sister." Each night, she woke with her claws buried in moss, as if clawing at her sorrow. The clan's whispers grew some. Spoke of Carlin, his scarred form vanished, but his betrayal lingered like a shadow in the oaks. Others looked to Illyra, their eyes seeking strength, but she felt only the weight of Seraphine's star. She padded to the pool's edge, where the water mirrored a sky of infinite light, and saw her reflection, a silver cat, alone yet bound to her clan. The forest stirred, its leaves catching the moon's caress, the rustle a song of renewal. Illyra's heart, though broken, pulsed with her sister's vow, a spark to guide her forward. She turned to the clan, her silver fur aglow, her voice, a chime that cut through the gloom. We live for Seraphine. The willow stood silent, its branches swaying gently, no longer a throne of sacrifice, but a monument to love. The pool's surface gleamed, reflecting a sky where Seraphine's star shone like a promise. The forest's song grew stronger, a lullaby woven with her sister's name, and Illyra's resolve hardened, a quiet fire in her chest. She stood tall, her silver fur a beacon in the glade, her dawn-bright eyes fixed on the horizon where the first light of dawn kissed the oaks, a gentle glow that warmed the scars of a clan reborn. Asterisk. The forest exhaled a gentle breath, its oaks weaving dawn's first light into a tapestry of gold and shadow, their branches cradling the glade in a tender embrace. Illyra stood at its heart, her silver fur aglow like moonlight captured in dew, her dawn-bright eyes steady with a resolve forged in grief. The claw mark behind her ear lay silent, its fire quenched by Seraphine's sacrifice, but her heart bore a deeper wound, pulsing with her sister's absence. The willow stood serene, its glow softened to a whisper, its roots no longer writhing, but still like veins of a sleeping earth. The pool beside it shimmered, reflecting a sky where Seraphine's star burned brightest, a beacon of love eternal. The Moonclaw clan gathered, their fur aglow in the dawn, their eyes glinting like stars, their murmurs a hymn of renewal tinged with sorrow. Illyra felt their gaze, a mantle heavier than the curse, urging her to lead where Seraphine had fallen. Her soul was a quiet storm grief for her sister, blended with a duty to guide the clan toward light. Lisa's the tabby seer padded close, her small form trembling, her eyes wide with visions that chilled the air. The forest lives, but shadows stir beneath its roots. Her words painted a haunting image, a silver wisp, faint but alive, coiling. In the earth's depths, hungry still, Illyra's fur rose, her claws flexing, but her heart clung to Seraphine's star, a spark to anchor her. The clan's paws tread softly on the moss, their hunts yielding prey once more. The forest's song, a lullaby of budding ferns and flowing streams. Yet Illyra's dreams were a torment Seraphine's amber eyes, fading under a bleeding moon, her voice whispering, "Leave, sister." Each night, she woke with her claws buried in earth, as if clawing at her sorrow. Whispers of Carline lingered. His scarred form vanished, but his betrayal cast a shadow, as if the forest itself remembered. His ambition. The clan looked to Illyra, their eyes seeking strength, and she met their gaze. Her voice a chime, we carry Seraphine's light. The oaks stirred, their leaves catching dawn's glow, their rustle a song of hope reborn. The pool's surface gleamed, reflecting a sky where stars faded into day, but Seraphine's light endured. Elara padded to the willow's edge, where the earth was soft with new life, and felt the forest's pulse, steady but wary. The glade was a canvas of rebirth, its colors vibrant yet haunted by shadows. Elara's heart, though scarred, pulsed. With her sister's vow, a fire to lead her clan. The dawn crept higher, its light a gentle caress, bathing the glade in hues of gold. The forest's song grew stronger, a lullaby woven with Seraphine's name, and Elara stood tall, her silver, for a beacon, her eyes fixed on the horizon. The oaks leaned closer, their branches whispering secrets of renewal, and the glade held its breath, as if waiting for the forest's heart to speak once more. Asterisk, the forest stirred beneath a dawn that wove gold through ancient oaks, their branches cradling the glade in a gentle embrace, their leaves whispering secrets of a world reborn. Elara stood at the willow's edge, her silver fur aglow like moonlight caught in dew, her dawn-bright eyes steady yet shadowed with doubt. The claw mark behind her ear lay silent, its fire quenched by Seraphine's sacrifice, but her heart bore a wound that pulsed with her sister's absence. The willow stood serene, its glow a soft whisper, its roots still, no longer writhing like hungry serpents. The pool beside it shimmered, reflecting a sky where Seraphine's star lingered, a beacon of love eternal, even as dawn faded the stars. The Moonclaw clan gathered, their fur aglow in the morning light, their eyes glinting with hope, tempered by grief. Elara felt their trust, a mantle heavy with expectation, urging her to lead where Seraphine had fallen. Her soul was a quiet storm resolved to guide her clan, clashed with whispers of doubt, each heartbeat a vow to honor her sister's light. Lysis, the tabby seer, padded close, her small form trembling, her eyes wide with visions that chilled the air. The forest breathes, but its roots stir with the shadow's hunger. Her words painted a haunting image, a silver wisp, faint but alive, coiling beneath the earth, waiting. Elara's fur rose, her claws flexing, but her grief was a tide, pulling her toward Seraphine's memory. The clan's paws tread softly, their hunts bountiful, the forest song a lullaby of budding ferns and flowing streams. Yet Elara's dreams were a torment Seraphine's amber eyes, fading under a bleeding moon, her voice whispering, "Live." Sister, each night, she woke with her claws buried in earth, as if clawing at her sorrow. Whispers of Carlin's betrayal lingered. His scarred form vanished, but the forest seemed to remember, its shadow sharper at dusk. The clan looked to Elara, their eyes seeking strength, and she met their gaze, her voice a chime. We rise with Seraphine's light. The oaks stirred, their leaves catching dawn's glow, their rustle a song of renewal. The pool's surface gleamed, reflecting a sky where Seraphine's star held fast. Elara padded through the glade, where moss bloomed soft and streams sang, but a faint tremor shook the earth, a whisper of unrest beneath the roots. The glade was a canvas of rebirth, its colors vibrant, yet haunted by shadows. Elara's heart, though scarred, pulsed with her sister's vow, a fire to lead her clan. The dawn climbed higher, its light a gentle caress, bathing the glade in hues of gold. The forest song grew stronger, a lullaby woven with Seraphine's name. But a single leaf fell, trembling on the pool's surface, its ripples spreading like a warning, as if the forest's heart held secrets yet to unfold. Asterisk Elera's dawn bright. Eyes traced the willow's silhouette, its branches swaying like mourners in a dream, their soft glow a reminder of Seraphine's sacrifice. Her silver fur shimmered in the morning light, a beacon for the Moonclaw clan, but her heart was a wound, pulsing with grief beneath a mantle of leadership. The claw mark behind her ear lay silent, its fire quenched, yet each step felt heavy, as if the earth itself mourned her sister. The pool beside the willow gleamed, reflecting a sky where Seraphine's star held fast, a light eternal against. The dawn's gold. The clan gathered, their fur aglow, their eyes glinting with hope and uncertainty, their murmurs a hymn of renewal shadowed by loss. Elara's soul was a quiet storm duty to her clan, clashed with the ache of Seraphine's. Absence, each heartbeat a vow to carry her light. Lisa's, the tabby seer, padded closer, her small form trembling, her eyes wide with visions that chilled the air. The earth stirs, Elera. A shadow lingers, hungry still. Her words painted a haunting image. A silver wisp, faint but alive, coiling beneath the roots, waiting to wake. Elera's fur rose, her claws flexing, but her grief was a tide, pulling her toward Seraphine's memory. The clan's hunts flourished, their paws light on moss, now thick with life, the stream singing a lullaby of renewal. Yet Elera's dreams were a torment Seraphine's amber eyes, fading under a bleeding moon, her voice whispering, "Live, sister." Each night, she woke with her claws buried in earth, as if clawing at her sorrow. Whispers of Carlin's betrayal lingered, his scarred form gone, but his ambition cast a shadow, as if the oaks themselves remembered. The clan looked to Elera, their eyes seeking strength, and she met their gaze, her voice a chime. "We honor Seraphine's dawn." The willow stood serene, its branches catching the light like silver tears, its roots still but wary. The pool's surface gleamed, reflecting a sky where stars faded into day, but Seraphine's light endured. A faint tremor shook the glade, a whisper of unrest beneath the earth, and the clan's murmurs faltered. Elera padded among them, her silver fur a beacon, her heart heavy with doubt, yet kindled by her sister's vow. The oaks leaned closer, their leaves rustling a song of hope, but a shadow lingered in their roots, faint but alive. The glade was a canvas of rebirth, its colors vibrant yet haunted by secrets. Elera's resolve hardened, a fire in her chest. As she stood tall, her eyes fixed on the horizon, the dawn's light bathed the clan in hues of gold, their fur aglow like stars on earth. A single leaf fell, trembling on the pool's surface, its ripples spreading like a whisper of warning. A shadow stirring beneath the glade's reborn heart. Beneath Elera's poised stillness, the soil the heartbeat not her own. Each morning, she would curl beside the ancient willow, letting its low-hanging limbs veil her like a memory not yet ready to fade. Her breath moved in time with the breeze, but within, her spirit was taut a string drawn to breaking. She wore leadership like a cloak stitched from her sister's shadow, and it was both too heavy and not enough. The clan thrived. Kittens tumbled under vines heavy with blossom, and the elders hummed old songs again, their voices no longer choked by mourning. The glade had color now mossed the hue of spring's first secret, streams that reflected not just sky, but the face of hope not yet in the hush of moonrise. When the stars blinked open and silence thickened like fog, Ilara would hear it, scratching. Not loud, not frantic, but deliberate. Like claws brushing bone beneath earth. She told no one, not even lice. But she began to walk the forest at night, her silver coat moving through the shadows like a question unasked. The roots beneath her, paws pulsed faintly, like veins. At first, she blamed her grief. The mind claws its symbols when the heart is broken. But one night, as dew shimmered on spider webs and the moon dipped low, she found it a place the light refused to touch. A hollow between three oaks, where no wind stirred, where even birds fell quiet. There, carved into the bark by some ancient paw, were the runes of the first vow twisted and raw, pulsing faintly with a silvery decay. And beneath them, as if spilled from the earth's own marrow, a single black feather. Ilara didn't breathe. The air here was wrong, too still, too sweet. Like honey left to rot dot, she reached out a paw, trembling. The moment she touched the feather, a pulse of cold raced up her leg, and the whisper came not with voice, but with memory. The vow is not undone. The soul was taken, not broken. A debt remains. She yanked her paw back, heart thundering. The glade welcomed her return, but she no longer trusted its beauty. She summoned Lisa's in the hush before dawn. The tabby seer arrived wrapped in mist, her paws silent, her ears low. Ilara told her everything, the scratching, the feather, the whisper, and as she spoke, Lisa's fur bristled as though a winter wind had crept beneath her skin. The vow was blood, Lisa's murmured, and blood lingers. It clings to roots, to memory, to the shape of things once promised. Ilara's claws flexed, catching soft earth. Then what must I give to end it truly? Lisa's looked away toward the willow. Not you this time. Ilara followed her gaze. There, in the dappled gold of morning, a young black kitten batted at a fallen blossom. Unaware, UNSCARRED not again, ... The roots would not have her. Ilara stood, her breath shallow but steady. We burned the vow. Lisa's ears flattened. You would desecrate the first pact? I would finish it. But the forest had already heard. That night, as the clan slept and the stars breathed silver into the canopy, the pool by the willow began to ripple, though no wind stirred it. And, in her dreams, Ilara saw Seraphine once more. She was not alone. Beside her stood a figure of shifting light, neither cat nor moon, but something between, the moon spirit. Its face was blurred, its voice like wind through chimes. She was never enough. They, vow asked more. What was given must now be claimed. Ilara lunged in the dream, fur flared. You took her. She gave. You only watched. Then take me. I offer myself. But the spirit tilted its head and whispered, cool and clear, you are not chosen. She was the last. Now the roots remember. Ilara woke screaming dot around her. The glade trembled. The willow's branches twitched as if startled. The pool bubbled faintly, not with water but with shadow. From the ground came not just whispers, but a growl, distant but rising. Lisa's rushed to her, eyes wide with waking dread. It comes. Whatever Seraphine caged, it's stirring. A meeting was called beneath the willow. The elders gathered, whispers sharp with old fear. The kittens clung to their mothers, eyes wide. Ilara stood tall. We were saved by sacrifice, she said, her voice low but unwavering. But we mistook pauses for peace. The vow still echoes. The clan shivered, memories uncoiling like smoke. We will not pay again in innocence. The clan looked to her, not with fear but with belief in her voice. In Seraphine's legacy.Lyss stepped forward, laying a paw upon Alara's. We go to the roots, she said, and we rewrite what was carved. And so it was that beneath a moon heavy with memory, Alara led a procession into the hollow, the glade hushed, the air electric with old ghosts. They came bearing no offerings, no chants, only flame dot, and as the runes burned crackling into the bark, smoke curling like ancient breath, the earth screamed, a soundless, bottomless cry. Not pain dot release dot roots quivered, leaves fell, the pool turned still. Then from the depths of the earth rose a silver mist thin, gentle, curling dot, and in it dashed Seraphine dot, just for a moment, dot smiling dot free, dot the willow pulsed once, then fell silent. Alara lowered her head, her heart both full and aching. The vow was done dot at last dot asterisk, the forest no longer whispered at night, dot it humed dot low and warm, like breath through moss, like a lullaby once forgotten, but now remembered by every leaf. The claw marks that had once bound the roots in silence were gone, their absence a balm. The hollow beneath the oaks had filled with wildflowers moon pale, trembling on soft stems. Where once silver mist warned of debt, now it shimmered like memory, soft and harmless dot Lara no longer dreamt of Seraphine's suffering. Now, in her sleep, she saw her sister running, not fleeing, but flying, her black fur trailing starlight, her laugh echoing like wind chimes over water. And sometimes, if she listened just before waking, she'd hear it again. Leave, sister. And Alara had dot. She became the matriarch, not of sorrow, but of story. She taught the kittens to walk silently, not out of fear, but out of reverence. She told them of the vow and of the one who broke it, not to frighten them, but to show them that courage had a face, and it had looked like Seraphine dot at night. She'd sit beneath the willow, now grown wide and open, its limbs no longer shrouded in weeping form. The pool beside it reflected stars, but always, always, one shone brighter, Seraphine's star. It never moved. It never dimmed. Sometimes Lisa's would join her there. The seer had stopped trembling. Her voice had softened, her visions more like songs now. One night she whispered as they watched the sky, "We were never meant to carry curses so long. Even roots forget if given enough light." Alara smiled at that. Her paws curled into the moss, now thick and warm, as if the forest itself sighed. Beneath her, the Moonclaw clan had changed. They no longer lived in fear of the pact. They still spoke the old tongue moon speech, but now it was used to name new things: constellations, stories, games. The ancient rituals gave way to dances under starlight, their rhythms still precise, but full of joy. The kittens asked questions now. What was the spirit like? Did Aunt Seraphine really walk on Moonlight? Will she ever come back? 2. The last one, Alara would pause dot, and then say softly, she never left. Because in the breeze that stirred the reeds, in the calm that settled after rain, in the hush just before moonrise, there she was. Seraphine was no longer bound by the vow. She had become part of everything. The whisper in the stream, The warmth on sleeping fur.Laira knew her own time would come. She felt it sometimes, in her bones, like a distant tide. But it did not frighten her, because when she closed her eyes beneath the willow, her body curled and her breathing slow. She would imagine it, walking once more beside her sister Dot, not as burden, but as light Dot, and on the night, Alera Pasta. Quiet night with no wind, the entire forest fell still, not in mourning, but in awe Dot, because in the sky, a second star appeared beside Seraphine's, brighter than fire, softer than mist, twin lights forever watching. And beneath the willow, the clan gathered not in sorrow, but in song. The kittens sang too, their small voices weaving with the elders, forming a melody that only cats and stars could know. And somewhere in the roots, the earth sighed in peace that the vow was forgotten. But the story, the love remained. It had been many seasons since Elira's star joined Seraphine's in the sky. The Moonclaw clan had grown under new leaders, those born after the vow had ended, who never felt the old scar burn behind their ears, who only knew stories past, down in song and silence. Among them was a curious trio of kittens, Nyx, a dark-furred male with violet eyes, who claimed he could hear what stones thought. Oral, a cream-colored she-cat born during a meteor shower, who dreamed not of the stars, but beneath them. Sif, a tiny, mute kitten with mismatched eyes, one gold, one blind, who painted pictures in the dirt that showed things yet to happen. They were born beneath the new moon, and the elders said it was a good omen. Peace, prosperity, healing. But the forest never forgets. One dusk, the trio ventured beyond the glade further than the boundaries Alera once set, to a ridge where the moss grew thin and the trees no longer. Whispered Dot there. Nyx heard something, not a voice, not exactly. A soundless chant inside the stones, low, cyclical, like a memory folded in on itself. He pressed his paw to the earth and felt it, a heartbeat beneath roots that shouldn't be beating. Sif, silent as always, drew a shape in the soil beside him. A claw, long and curved, not feline. Aurel laughed nervously, flicking her tail. You two always play too dark. But when they turned back, the trees had changed. They had wandered into a grove no one remembered, and yet somehow it remembered them. Dot at the center stood a stump enormous, blackened and cracked. From its center grew a single white flower, veined in silver, glowing faintly. Dot as Aurel stepped closer. The air grew cold. Not wind. The glade wore its peace like a soft pelt, warm, seamless, deceptively whole. Yet in the hush between crickets and wind, something waited. Aurel sat at the pool's edge, staring at her reflection, but it wasn't hers. The face in the water bore her eyes, her whiskers, but it shimmered with something other aglow beneath the skin, like moonlight sinking. Into stone. Dot behind her, Nyx prowled in restless loops, tail twitching. It hums louder now, he muttered, ears flicking. The stones. They single quotes read ... remembering. Sif said nothing. She never did. But her claws worked the soil beside them, sketching another picture. The stump again, but now it bled. Tiny flowers spilled from its cracks like tears. Aurel couldn't sleep anymore, not without dreaming of that throne bone stacked like steps, moonlight clinging to fur like frost. Each dream deeper, each dream darker. But it was Lisa's who vanished first. Old Seer had padded into the forest 3 nights ago, whispering. There is something beneath the willow's shadow. I must see. She did not return. The clan muttered of age, of wandering minds, of spirits claiming what was once theirs. But Aurel knew better. The flower she had touched, had grown inside her. She felt it when she blinked too long. Flashes of a feline not her own. Pale eyes, a jagged crown. A voice that said, "You will carry the second vow." And in the morning, under the first fog of leaf fall, they heard the chant. It came not with voice, but vibration rising from beneath the glade, where roots entwined like veins, low, pulsing. Hungry. Nyx gasped, ears flattening. "It's waking." Sif's tail fluffed, her dirt drawing half finished, just a single eye now, enormous, unblinking. Aurel looked to the willow. Its silver leaves were trembling, not in breeze, but in dread. Asterisk, they returned. Of course they did. They were young. They were foolish. They were called. The stump loomed like a forgotten wound. No flower now, no glow. But the air was thick, as if time itself slowed to listen. Nyx placed his paw on the black bark. Immediately, the world dropped away. He was no longer in the grove. He stood on a cliff above a sea of stars, and something enormous stirred beneath the surface. Too big, too quiet, too old. Then he saw it. A cat, impossibly tall, fur white as fog, its eyes. Hollow pits filled with galaxies. Yen Hao. She whispered not in words, but in need. You broke the vow, but left the gate ajar. Remember us, little ones. Speak our names. Let us live again. Nyx screamed. When Aurel and Sif shook him awake, blood trickled from his ears. Meanwhile, in the glade the clan began to change. Prey fled more often. The willow wept sap that shimmered silver. Kits born in the last moon blinked with glowing pupils and spoke to things that weren't there. One elder took to clawing the bark of her den, mumbling, "The bones are rising. The bones remember. Aurel knew the signs. Seraphine's sacrifice had bought time, but not erasure. Yenel was returning, and unlike the moon spirits who bargained in oaths and riddles, this one demanded only reverence. No souls. No rituals. Just memory. Just belief. And a belief, once spoken, can never be unsaid. Asterisk, the scent of autumn clung to the moss, crisp and brittle beneath Aurel's steps. The forest had fallen silent, not with peace, but with expectation. Alara had once said, "The trees remember who walks beneath them." Now, as Aurel crossed beneath the leaning oaks, their leaves curled inward, whispering her name in rustling fragments. The glade behind her was dimming, even in daylight. And ahead, beneath a crescent-shaped hollow in the earth, the old den of seers waited, long abandoned, sealed by roots, wrapped in vines thick as a lynx's tail. But the vines parted at her touch. Sif and Nyx stood at the edge, watching. But only Aurel entered. Inside, the air was thick with dust and incense, as if time itself had exhaled once, and never again. Moonlight filtered in through cracks above, painting silver veins across the floor. And in the center, half buried in ash and old feathers, lay a mirror oval, black as obsidian, ringed with symbols that pulsed faintly in moonlight. Aurel stepped forward. Her breath clouded in the air. She expected to see herself. She did not. The cat in the mirror wore her fur, her face, but her eyes were molten gold, glowing like the stars before dawn. and on her forehead, a perfect crescent scar, the mark of the moonbound. Once thought Seraphine's alone. The mirror cracked. The air rippled, and a voice spilled forth, old and low and sharp as frost. Not one, not two, but three were chosen. One to lead, one to fall, and one to awaken. Aural's chest ached. Her claws dug into the soft earth, and from it, something rose, a memory, buried in blood and song. She saw Seraphine as a kitten, standing beside another black-furred cat taller, older, her eyes glowing faintly beneath the moon. They touched, paused before an altar of stone where a silver wisp hovered. "We split the oath, sister," the elder said, "so that the burden may not drown you alone." But the sister was not Lara. It was Leora Seraphine's twin, erased from clan history, hidden by time and fear. And Leora did not perish. She wandered, nameless, bearing the second half of the vow. Her bloodline was scattered to the moss and mist, lost to memory. Until Aural. The mark was not a gift. It was a beacon, and now something had found her. Asterisk night came fast. When Aural emerged from the seer's den, her eyes were changed, no longer wide with uncertainty, but glowing with a soft gold pulse. The crescent shimmered faintly beneath her. Fur, just above her brow. Nick stepped back, fur bristling. She. She carries it, he whispered. Sif said nothing. Her paw scratched a new symbol into the dirt. 3 moons. One full, one broken, one weeping. That night, the willow tree bent lower than ever before, as if bowing. Its roots hummed beneath their paws, and the star above the one Seraphine became pulsed once, brightly. Then dimmed. Aural felt it in her bones. The old protection was fading. The oath had returned, rewritten in her blood. But this time, there would be no sacrifice, only reckoning. Asterisk, she stood before the stump. The mirror now slung across her back, in moss-wrapped vines. Her voice cut through the dark like silver. I will finish what Seraphine began, not with blood, not with loss, but with truth. In the trees above, the owls held their breath. The earth, the hunger stirred. And in the far distance, through layers of time and root and stone, a whisper came. Moonarn, come home. Just absence. When she touched the flower, a vision struck her, a past that wasn't hers. A vast hall of moonlight, a throne of bones, and a cat no one she knew crowned with light that screamed. A voice. We were not the first to vow. We were only obedient. She collapsed. When she awoke, Nyx and Sif were at her side, but the flower was gone, and her paws were glowing faintly, not with light, with memory. Back in the glade, they told no one. Who would believe them? The stars still shone. The willow still swayed. The pool remained still, but in their dreams, a name began to whisper. Yenel, not Seraphine, not Ilara, something older, something beneath. Asterisk. Asterisk, the night was velvet thick, the kind that drank sound and swallowed light. Aural stood beneath the willow where Seraphine once offered herself, the air still trembling with ancient memory. Her crescent mark burned not with pain, but with warning. Glade had changed. No longer silent, no longer safe. Beneath the roots of the land, something shifted. The pool beside her, once placid and sacred, began to ripple, though no wind stirred. Its glassy surface darkened, revealing a shape below, a chained star, flickering like a heart sealed in stone. Arl stepped back, but the voice came anyway. She bought time, not peace. Her fire stilled the hunger, but never fed it. It was Lys's, the tabby seer, emerging from the mist like a dream unraveling. Her eyes were wide, but blind, glazed by visions too heavy for one life to bear. Her fur was matted with dew, her steps unsure. "Ariel," she whispered. "I saw it. Seraphine stands at the gate, not beyond, not free." Arl's breath caught. "She's trapped?" Lys's nodded once. "She sealed the vow by giving herself." "Yes, but the vow was never meant to take one. The true pact demands three." Arl's ears flattened. Her claws gripped the moss. And who were the others? Lys's turned to the willow, her voice hollow. One to offer the soul, one to carry the blood, one to break the wheel. "You," she said, staring at Arl, "are the last." Asterisk that night, Arl dreamed not of stars, but chains. She stood in a black sky, no moon above, only a distant hum, like a breath held too long. And there, floating in the dark, was Seraphine. Her body flickered like smoke, wrapped in fur, her amber eyes dull with sorrow. Arl called to her. Seraphine turned. "I did not end it, little flame. I only bought you time." "Why didn't you?" "Tell us?" "Because truth shatters more than silence. Because hope dies when you see the full shape of the monster." From the dark behind Seraphine, something stirred a coil of silver mist, luminous and cold, shaped like no cat, but wearing their voice. The moon wraith, the one who first made the vow with their blood dot, it hissed. 3 flames, 1 cage. Seal weakens, the vow returns. Fulfill it or break it. Then the sky cracked like old bark under claw, and Arl awoke with a single name in her mouth. Leora. By dawn, the willow's bark had split. Not wounded, but opened. A passage revealed beneath it, hidden for generations, carved in the shape of a crescent moon. Ilera arrived first, her silver fur bristling. "You weren't supposed to go alone." Arl met her eyes. "It was never about one cat, or one death. The vow was written into our bones. It has to be broken from within." Lys's padded forward, trailing feathers and dust. "Then you must find the heart of the vow." "And where's that?" Ilera asked. The answer came from the wind itself, like a purr wrapped in thunder. "Where the first oath was spoken, where the moon kissed the fang." Lys's eyes glazed. Again, "The hollow fang," she whispered. "Leora went there. She tried to unmake it. She failed." Arl stood taller, the mirror still slung at her side. Her voice was calm, but heavy with resolve. "Then I will not fail." The passage beneath the willow curved downward like the curling of a cat's tail tight, dark and lined with runes older than claw or fur. Moss glowed dimly on the walls, whispering echoes of names long devoured by time. Arl led the way, her. Steps light, but her breath shallow. Behind her, Ilera followed, silent as moonlight. Lys's brought up the rear, mumbling moon phrases to herself, her tail twitching with visions. The path opened at last into a cavern not carved, but grown. Its walls were root and bone, fused into fangs of petrified wood. In the center stood a shrine, a stone monolith carved in the shape of a slit pupil, staring skyward even underground. Arl approached. The mark on her brow pulsed dot, and then, "So you've come, little ember." The voice did not echo. It was inside her, warm and cold at once. The shrine shimmered. From its surface emerged a memory made flesh. Alior, not as she was in the nursery, soft and laughing, a taller, wiser. Her fur shimmered like starlight fractured through frost, and in her eyes a grief that mirrored Seraphine's. Leora, Leora turned. I tried to undo it, the vow, the hunger. But it feeds on more. In soul it feeds on promise, on the fire between kin. Ilera stepped forward. Why didn't you come back? I was trapped here, Leora said, her voice like wind through reeds. When I tried to sever the vow, it severed me. I became the ward, just as Seraphine became the lock. Arl's breath caught. Then what am I? Leora's eyes fixed on hers. You're the key, Arl. But keys can open or destroy. The shrine pulsed with moonlight, runes glowing, forming a circle of memory around the dot. And then it rose. The moonwraith emerged, no longer mist, but fully formed. A tall, feline silhouette forged of liquid silver and shadow. Its eyes were mirrors, and in them, Arol saw everything the sacrifice of Seraphine, the oath of the first Moonclaw, the faces of kittens long lost to the ritual. 3 must stand, it hissed. 1 must fall. It looked to Ilera, Leora, and Arl. You seek to end me, yet I was born from your fear, your ambition, your silence. Arl stepped forward, her claws unsheathed, but her heart open. You were born from a lie, and we are done lying. The moonwraith surged. Roots lashed from the earth. Leora roared and leapt, her form blazing with stored starlight. Ilera stood firm, her silver fur gleaming like a blade, and Arl closed her eyes. Not with claws, she whispered, but with truth. Arl unslung the mirror Seraphine's mirror. She turned it toward the moon. W-R-A-I-T H. It shrieked, not from pain, but from being seen. In its reflection. It was not a god, nor a ghost. It was a shiver. Of fear, a hunger born of a leader who could not bear to lose another child to time. It was grief, petrified into ritual. The roots recoiled. The cavern cracked, and Arl spoke the vow aloud, not to renew it, but to release it. By the claw that bleeds, by the fur that warms, by the soul that burns, we unbind the hunger. We remember, we forgive. The shrine exploded into light. The moonwraith howled and folded in on itself, vanishing like mist at sunrise. Lior, it collapsed, her body fading into sparks. But she smiled. You did what we could not. Now the fire is yours. They emerged from the hollow fang as night surrendered to morning. The forest no longer whispered. Warnings it sang. Arl stood beneath the willow, no longer a child of fate, but a shaper. Of it. Lara touched her shoulder. It's over, she said. Arl shook her head gently. No, it's just beginning. Above them, 3 stars burned bright in the sky, 1 gold, 1 silver, 1 pale and blue. The vow was gone, but their memory would remain as guardians, not as sacrifices. Time passed like mist, curling between ancient trees. The Moonclaw clan, once bound by oaths older than song, had changed. No longer did they gather beneath the willow to mourn, but to remember, not with silence, but with stories. The sacred glade, where the pool once reflected loss, had become a place of growth. From Seraphine's fallen body, a tree had grown. It was neither willow nor oak, but something new. Its bark shimmered with silver and midnight. Its leaves whispered like distant lullabies. The cats called it the memory tree. Each night, kittens climbed its boughs, tracing the moon-shaped veins of its leaves. And Aurel would sit beneath it, telling them the story not of gods or curses, but of choice, of fire, of sisters who dared to break the sky. Her name was Seraphine, Aurel would begin. She had eyes like embers and a soul that burned, quietly like a candle in a storm. And the kittens would huddle closer, breath held, but not in fear, not in awe. Asteriscalera never returned to the center of the clan, choosing instead to live near the lake where Seraphine's star first appeared. There, she listened to the wind and tended the stones carved with old names. She was the keeper of stars, chronicling not the deeds of heroes, but the softness between them, laughter shared, tales entwined, lullabies hummed under moonlight. Sometimes she saw her sister in the stillness, not in shadow, but in reflection, always smiling, always watching. And when Aurel visited, Ilara would offer her a warm press of the forehead, a flick of the tail. "You carry her well," she'd say, with. The vow broken, the forest changed. The glades bloomed longer. Moonflowers returned silver blossoms that opened only to purring. The animals, once restless and wary, now walked beside the cats without fear. Even the stone softened. The hollow fang collapsed, its roots reborn into a grove of dream-bark trees said, to echo the thoughts of those who touched them. The shrine was no more, but its lesson lingered. The clan no longer needed a pack to hold them together. They had each other. On the night of the third leaf fall since Seraphine's sacrifice, the clan gathered. Aurel stood tall, now full-grown, her fur darker than midnight, with a streak of pale light on her brow like the curve of a crescent moon. The kits surrounded her, eyes wide, tails flicking. She raised her voice. "We are not bound by the hunger anymore. We are bound by memory and by love." "And love?" she said, looking to the sky. "Leaves stars behind." The clan looked up. And in the heavens 3 stars gleamed, closer than they had ever been. One amber gold, warm as fire. One silver, soft as song. One pale blue, bright with possibility. The cats did not cry that night. They purred, and the forest purred with them. The wind carried the sound through branches and moss, through root and stone, until even the deep places, once choked with shadow, knew peace. And somewhere, far above, Seraphine smiled. "And so," the voice says gently, stroking soft ears curled in slumber, "the vow became a memory, and the forest a song. And if you ever see a silver leaf fall in the moonlight, that's a whisper from the cats who once carried the stars. Good night."